What if the very thing you've been doing to get what you want is the exact thing pushing it further away from you? Think about that for a moment. All the chasing, the planning, the effort, the late nights, the constant mental pressure. What if that energy isn't pulling your desires closer, but actually driving them out of reach? And what if the universe has been trying to show you a better way all along, in moments so subtle you didn't even realize they were happening? You've had those moments before, times when something you wanted showed up the second you stopped pushing for it. A call that came only after you stopped checking your phone. A job offer that appeared when you'd already given up the search. A yes that found you after weeks of hearing no. Those moments felt random, but they weren't. They were the universe speaking in its own language, a language most people never learn to understand. Thoth called it the hidden key, a code that flips the way reality responds to you. When you use it, the universe starts moving things into place for you without struggle, without control, without the exhausting grind you've been taught to believe is necessary. This isn't just a nice idea. It's a living law, always working in the background whether you're aware of it or not. The difference is that after today, you'll know how to work with it intentionally. Pause for a moment. Take a deep breath. Let yourself remember. Think back to a time when something you wanted came to you effortlessly, right after you stopped forcing it. It might have been an unexpected message, a sudden opportunity, or a small miracle that seemed to arrive out of nowhere. Maybe it came when you were tired of trying, when you finally released the tension and stopped thinking about it altogether. That moment wasn't coincidence. It was the universe answering a signal you didn't even know you were sending. It wasn't the surrender of defeat. It was the surrender of trust. The quiet knowing that you no longer needed to control the outcome for it to appear. Thoth put it in the simplest way. Creation is not born in the shout. It begins in the silent echo of surrender. And that echo doesn't come from your voice. It comes from your field, your inner vibration. It's the moment you stop interfering. Stop measuring yourself against a clock. Stop running after what you already have the ability to attract. Think about it. How many times have you been so wrapped up in your own urgency that you couldn't see the answer was already forming for you? How many times did the solution arrive when you stopped checking for it? When you stopped holding it in a tight grip? Your mind might tell you those were accidents, but your soul knows better. Those moments were not random. They were responses. You've touched this state before, even if only for a few seconds. And in those moments, the universe shifted around you without you moving a single piece. You didn't force it. You didn't chase it. You didn't need to prove yourself to get it. It just came. That's the essence of this hidden law. You can't fake it, and you can't force it. It happens when you genuinely let go, not out of giving up, but out of making space for what's meant for you to find you. It's not about passivity, and it's not about doing nothing. It's about releasing the need to grip so tightly. The harder you try to control something, the more you push it away. But when you relax your hold, you allow it in. Just like a butterfly that won't land in your hand while you're grabbing for it, but will rest there when you're still and open. What you desire comes when it feels there is space for it. This pattern has played out in your life more times than you realize. The reason you haven't been able to use it consistently is because no one taught you to recognize it. You were told the opposite, that everything good comes from a fight, that every victory must be wrestled into existence, that nothing will move unless you push. Thoth taught the reverse. He showed that miracles begin when the mind is still, The body is soft and the soul is quiet. You felt it before. You know the truth of it, even if you didn't have the words for it. There is a living field around you, an invisible vibrational body that never sleeps. It doesn't wait for your permission. It doesn't need your plan. And it doesn't follow your deadlines. It responds to your steady inner state, not your temporary thoughts, not your momentary words, but the ongoing vibration you carry, even when you're not aware of it. You can say you want love, but if you carry fear, the field hears the fear. You can say you want peace, but if you carry tension, the field hears the tension. And like a perfect mirror, it reflects that signal right back to you. This is why wanting harder doesn't work. You can say affirmations, visualize, and repeat mantras, but if underneath it all you're vibrating doubt and lack, that's the message the universe answers. The field doesn't respond to what you think about for 5 minutes. It responds to the frequency you maintain most of the time. That's what shapes your entire life. And here's the part most people miss. You can't trick this field into giving you what you want by pretending to feel different than you do. It doesn't respond to acting. It responds to alignment. Real alignment happens when you feel what you want as if it's already here, without grasping for proof, without rushing for confirmation, without tightening around the outcome. It's a feeling so steady that it doesn't fade when the outside world is still catching up. You've been in that feeling before. You've touched it in moments of deep calm, in flashes of trust, in times when you weren't waiting for anyone or anything to give you permission to feel okay. In those moments, you were creating without effort. The universe was responding to your signal, not to your requests, because it has no ears for your words. It feels your state. And if your state is clear, open, and steady, life reflects that back to you. This is why so many people live in cycles of frustration. They ask for peace, but vibrate stress. They ask for abundance, but vibrate scarcity. They ask for love, but vibrate fear. The field simply mirrors what is consistently there. And the moment you shift your steady state, the mirror shifts too. When your mind quiets, your body loosens, and your inner vibration settles, reality can finally arrive. This is the living law Thoth taught, and once you learn to work with it, nothing can block what is meant for you. Many people say they want love, yet inside they still carry fear. They say they want freedom, yet inside they still hold tight to control. This is why so many desires never take form. True manifestation only begins when what you feel inside matches what you want on the outside. But even that is just the starting point. The process is only complete when that feeling becomes effortless, when it stops being something you have to work at, and instead becomes your natural state. You reach it when you no longer have to remind yourself to believe, when the belief has settled so deeply into you that it feels like breathing. There are moments when you think of something you desire, and for no reason at all you feel a gentle warmth in your chest, a quiet expansion in your body, a strange but beautiful lightness that flows through you. This is your energy field's way of telling you that what you want and what you are vibrating are in harmony. It is the point where you are no longer asking for what you want. You are simply letting it in. This state is the real portal people speak of. It's not a doorway you walk through in the physical world, and it's not tied to a certain date or time. It's an inner state where the mind stops pushing, where thoughts stop forcing, and where the feeling begins to lead the way. It's where you no longer try to persuade the universe to give you something because you already feel, without any doubt, that it's yours even before it shows up in your physical reality. When you remain in that state, life begins to rearrange itself around you, not because you are bending it into shape through sheer will, but because your entire vibration has become truth. The invisible field, the energy that responds to you, does not answer appearances. It answers vibrational truth. That's why some people can live through extraordinary moments they can't explain. At some point, they reached a level of peace and clarity so pure that the universe had no choice but to respond. Others, meanwhile, keep trying over and over, repeating affirmations, begging for results, doing everything they've been told will work, but they get nothing. It's because manifestation isn't about saying the right words. It's about feeling the right vibration. And that feeling never comes from forcing yourself into belief. It comes from trust. Trust is quiet. Trust is steady. Trust doesn't shout for attention or demand proof. It simply vibrates in your waking hours, in your sleep, in your moments of stillness, and it doesn't need to be announced. When you combine that quiet certainty with the courage to completely let go of control, you start what can only be described as the miracle cycle. This is the stage where life begins to move in ways you could never have planned, because now the universe has space to act without you trying to steer it. Humans have been taught for centuries that you only get what you want by insisting on it, by pushing and pushing until something gives way. But energetically, this is untrue. The greatest block to flow is not failure. It is obsession. Obsession vibrates lack. It carries the signal of desperation. It says, I still don't have this. And the universe echoes that vibration back to you over and over again. If you look back at your own life, you will see examples of this truth. Think of the job that appeared only after you stopped desperately looking for it. Think of the person who contacted you right after you decided to stop waiting for them. Think of the solution that appeared the moment you let go of trying to figure it out. These weren't accidents. They were moments of alignment. The desire didn't vanish. It transformed. It stopped being a mental urgency and became a calm, steady knowing. And that is the point when the universe responds. It's the moment you stop chasing because you've stopped running from yourself. Thoth and other ancient teachers explained that the universe doesn't move in response to pressure. It moves in response to harmony. And harmony only happens when your wanting stops being a demand and becomes a presence, a quiet, constant presence that vibrates without force. It's no longer shouting, no longer tightening, no longer straining. It simply exists. When you reach that state, you flow with life instead of against it. You open to the current that has been trying to reach you all along but couldn't because you were too busy trying to control it. Manifestation happens not when you force it into place, but when you step out of the way. And here's what most people don't realize. This has already happened to you more than once. You just didn't see the pattern. You didn't recognize that it was only when you stopped pressing so hard that the doors opened. So you slipped back into the habit of insistence. The truth is, the universe never forgets what you've asked for, but it will only deliver when you stop suffocating the process, when you leave enough space inside yourself for it to arrive. That space is created when you let go. Letting go is not giving up. It is trust. And trust is not sitting quietly waiting for a miracle to knock at your door. It is living as though what you want is already done, even if the outside world hasn't caught up yet. This is the turning point, the invisible instant when your vibration changes and the field reorganizes. Yet many people fail even when they try to let go. And the reason is simple. It all depends on the emotional state from which the desire is born. If your desire comes from emptiness, fear, guilt, or need, you will push it away no matter how much you believe. If your desire comes from fullness, peace, and certainty, you will naturally attract it without effort. The true creator desires not as a beggar hoping for rescue, but as one who recognizes that what they want is already theirs by right of vibration. It's a subtle state. You still desire, but your desire is no longer rooted in lack. It blooms from a silent completeness, from a sense of wholeness that exists even before your desire shows up. When you desire from this place, you stop chasing and start magnetizing. You don't shout for attention. Your energy pulls it towards you. Your vibration no longer says, I need this. It says, this belongs to me because I am already aligned with it. This is the secret. You create from a full heart. You desire as someone who already has. You vibrate as someone who already is. And the universe cannot ignore that frequency. It does not hear pleading or fighting. It hears confirmation. And in that moment, effort is no longer needed. Something in you knows that movement has already begun, and control becomes unnecessary. But after planting your desire in this fertile state, there is a danger. The most powerful saboteur isn't other people or the outside world. It's your own mind. This happens in the stage where everything looks still, where nothing appears to be happening. This is the most delicate part of the process. The silence can feel like rejection, but it is actually preparation. Your seed is under the soil, invisible, but growing. Most people can't stand this stage. The mind begins to whisper doubts. Is this really working? What if it doesn't happen? And in response, people start digging at the soil to check on the seed. They poke at the process. They try to hurry it along. And in doing so, they destroy it before it's ready. Thoth called this stage the protective silence. All creation begins in the unseen, and a single thought soaked in fear can undo the work. This is the hardest part because the mind craves control and proof. But manifestation demands trust without evidence. It grows in darkness, and in darkness the ego feels lost. Yet for the one who understands this stage, the darkness becomes sacred. This is where the alchemy happens. This is where faith is tested and deepened. If you can move through this without interference, you step into a power that no longer depends on effort. The protective silence is like an energetic womb, a vibrational space where everything is forming but cannot yet be touched. It's like a painting that has been finished, but needs to dry. Any touch before the right moment will ruin it. This is why silence is not passivity. It's the deepest form of inner action. It's the training ground of trust. It's the moment when you recognize that you've already done your part, and now you must step aside. This is also when the mind tries its hardest to sabotage you with comparison, with impatience, with endless questioning disguised as seeking clarity. But if you pass this test, you cross into a higher stage where the desire has already been delivered energetically. The field has been activated, and wanting is no longer necessary. When you reach this stage, things begin to come without warning, without logic, without effort. This is when Thoth's secret reveals itself. Silence stops feeling like emptiness and becomes a living presence. The outer world might still look unchanged, but within you, something has shifted forever. You no longer ask. You no longer pray out of desperation. You no longer repeat the same image over and over like a chant. Those actions belong to an earlier stage. Now your field vibrates on its own, not because you are forcing it, but because your being already knows that what was once a desire is now reality. This is the rare state of pure vibrational faith. It is not built through logic. It is not pushed into place by mental discipline. It arrives when your inner field is so coherent, so clean, so surrendered, that the invisible world finds no resistance in you. And then manifestation happens naturally, without ritual, without reminders, without you needing to keep it alive. Because at that point, the universe isn't something you speak to. The universe has become you. Reality mirrors not what you think or what you say, but what you sustain silently, even when no one is watching. And the truth is, you have likely been in this state before without realizing it. There are moments when it feels like everything has slipped from your hands, when every plan seems broken and every hope looks far away. Yet in that same moment, something unexpected rises inside you. It is not loud, not dramatic, but quiet and steady. A stillness that feels like a warm light resting in your chest. It carries no panic, no rush, no need to control. It is not you giving up, and it is not you pretending to be strong. It is something else, something deeper, as if you've touched a hidden frequency that exists beyond fear. In this space, time loses its heaviness. The pressure to measure and the demand for proof dissolve. There is no fight to keep your belief alive because your belief has stopped being a thought and has become a state of being. You are no longer waiting for life to deliver something to you. You are already living as if it has. You are no longer searching as if something is missing. You are recognizing that nothing has been missing. You are no longer asking from emptiness. You are vibrating as though it is already here, already yours. When you rest here, the extraordinary stops feeling like an accident. Miracles no longer arrive as surprises. They arrive as confirmation, because you had already felt them in your inner world long before they became visible in the outer one. This is the shift that quietly bends reality to match you. Most people try to find this space by effort, forcing their minds to think positive thoughts, holding on tightly to visualizations, trying to push away fear by speaking words of faith they do not yet feel. But vibration cannot be faked. The invisible does not respond to the sentences on your lips. It responds to the truth of your inner energy. Desire that demands pushes what it wants away, but recognition that is quiet and complete draws it near without strain. In this place of deep trust, you stop scanning the world for signs. You stop repeating affirmations as if you need to convince yourself. You stop needing proof that things are moving in your favor. The sign is already alive inside you, and that is enough. The question is no longer, how will this happen? But how can I keep living from this space without forcing it? The answer is not found in complex rituals or hidden secrets. It is not something you achieve by chasing it harder. It is a simple shift, a frequency adjustment. It happens not when you push to feel it, but when you stop trying to make it happen. In that surrender, the hidden frequency comes alive, and it is not subtle. It rearranges the entire field around you. This is what Thoth called the field of it already is, a silent point inside you where time bends, and the process of manifestation is already complete, even when your physical eyes see nothing yet. The reason many people cannot hold this field is that they let go in fear. They let go in a hurry. They let go hoping the act of release will force quick results. But letting go with urgency still sends out the vibration of lack. In the field of it already is, there is no reaching forward. There is only recognizing what is here now. Your body loosens its tension. Your chest feels open. Your mind stops asking when because it somehow knows the answer. This state is not born in the mind. It is born in vibration. You can speak affirmations every hour of the day. You can visualize with perfect detail. But if there is strain or resistance in your energy, you are still outside the field. Inside it, you feel the shift clearly. Doubt drops away. Anxiety loses its grip, and you breathe with ease. It is not because the outcome has arrived, but because you are living as though it has. Once you are here, the invisible responds in ways you can't plan. Small but perfect signs begin to appear. Coincidences stop feeling random and start feeling like precision. People show up at the exact time you need them. Opportunities open without you pushing them into place. Paths become clear without force. It feels as though life already knows what you are walking toward and is moving to meet you halfway. At this point, you are not attracting. You are aligning. The future you once imagined begins to move toward you. What you once called impossible begins to unfold as if it had been prepared long ago. But here is where the most dangerous trap hides. Even after feeling this state, even after being sure, a single thought can pull you out. But did it really happen? That one whisper cracks the energy. It is what Thoth called a vibrational rupture, when the frequency you were holding starts to collapse. Not because the outside changed, but because you stepped out of it from within. It often happens without warning. You may think you are only checking to see if it worked, but in energy, checking is doubt. And the universe always mirrors what you are, not what you say. When you check for proof, you are telling the field, it's not here yet. And the field responds, then it is not here yet. This is the invisible sabotage that causes so many to lose what was already on its way. They don't realize the soul's timing is not the same as the clock's. The invisible works in its own rhythm and needs the space of still trust to complete its weaving. Creation happens in its purest form when you forget you even asked for it, when the request dissolves into your being, and you live as if it has been granted. But the ego resists this. It wants to measure progress, control timing, and compare results. This is when things begin to slip away. Think of the times you were on the edge of something incredible, but pulled yourself out of alignment by counting days, doubting outcomes, or demanding signs. This constant need for proof is like a slow leak in your energy. It drains the field and leaves you cycling through the same pattern, asking, letting go, then checking, and in the act of checking, you declare it absent. Once you learn the deeper law, you see that true creation is not a technique you turn on and off. It is not a trick to use when you want something. It is a way of existing. It becomes a natural posture of your energy, one that requires no performance, no strain. It is silent yet magnetic. You are not forcing the world to give you anything. You are becoming the version of yourself for whom those things are already natural. In this state, you no longer push or beg or grasp. You walk with the knowing that what you are is enough. that what you desire is already intertwined with you. This knowing is what shapes reality, because desire born from need carries tension, but desire born from certainty carries pure power. This power does not shout or prove itself, it simply radiates, and reality adjusts to it without resistance. Living like this is what Thoth called the time of the invisible, when you are no longer rushing to escape fear, but moving with the quiet precision of spirit. Every action, every word, every choice flows from clarity. You realize that manifestation is not an occasional miracle. It is a natural result of staying in the only place where creation is alive, the vibrational present, not the promises of the future, not the shadows of the past, but the now, where everything already exists in seed form. In this place, you stop fighting against the current of life and start moving with it. And in that alignment, life cannot help but meet you. People arrive unexpectedly. Opportunities come without being chased. Old doors open as if they had never been closed. Even when something seems to go wrong, a deeper part of you knows it is still working for your good because you are anchored in the frequency where it is already done. When you live like this long enough, the shift is unmistakable. You no longer try to manifest. You are the manifestation. You are no longer seeking the future. The future is seeking you, and everything begins to move, not because you forced it, but because you became the person for whom it already belongs. In that, the field works for you whether you are speaking, acting, or simply breathing. And in that space, life becomes effortless not because it is free of challenges, but because you no longer face those challenges from scarcity. You face them as someone who already knows, already trusts, and already is. They stopped chasing, and they started living. The energy shifted the moment they let go of the need to run after things. The moment they stopped thinking life would only begin once they had what they wanted. An entrepreneur spent years trying to close a deal that refused to happen. He tried everything: calls, meetings, strategies, yet nothing worked. But when he finally stopped pushing, when he turned his attention inward and began living with presence instead of pressure, the deal came to him without effort. A woman spent years searching for emotional healing, trying therapy after therapy, workshop after workshop. Yet true relief never arrived until she stopped chasing the idea of healing and instead began accepting herself exactly as she was. A man suffered with chronic pain for years, fighting his body every day. He exhausted himself looking for cures, treatments, and solutions. But the pain only began to fade when he stopped resisting it and instead listened to what his body was trying to say. These moments seem like miracles, but they are not random luck. They are natural results of living in a new frequency. When you stop chasing life, life starts chasing you. You stop being the vibration of lack and become the vibration of what you desire. And when you embody that vibration, the universe has no choice but to mirror it back to you. You've already experienced this before, maybe without realizing it. At some point, you let go, and something that once seemed impossible happened. Maybe you forgot. Maybe you thought it was coincidence, but it wasn't. It was the inverted law at work, the law that gives you what you want when you no longer grasp at it. You didn't have a name for it before, but you felt it. And now that you see it clearly, you can repeat it on purpose every day. But here is where the challenge appears. When life begins to give you what you wanted, the ego steps in. It says, "It worked. Let's make it work again." And without noticing, you start trying to control the process. You start pushing again. And the moment control returns, the flow slows down. The truth is, the flow never came from effort. It came from surrender. That is why this stage is so powerful, yet so delicate. Your vibration can't be a trick. It can't be something you put on like a mask. It must be real. And real can't be forced. It has to grow inside you, naturally, through trust and awareness. When you remember those rare moments when life flowed effortlessly, you rebuild the internal trust that the outer world tried to take from you. And when you trust deeply, you stop being surprised by good things, because you are already living as if they are here. That changes everything. Your body language shifts. Your words feel different. Your decisions come from a grounded place. You start walking differently, talking differently, breathing differently. You become part of the field instead of someone trying to control it. And the field responds in silence, without struggle. You stop being a seeker and become the place where life happens. There is a final secret to making this state your daily reality. It's not another technique, another affirmation, or another long ritual. It's something almost invisible, but deeply powerful. It's the trigger of creative silence. This isn't activated through noise, effort, or convincing the universe with the right words. It happens in small, overlooked moments, the transition between what was and what is not yet. Waking up, but not yet opening your eyes. Taking a slow breath before speaking. Finishing a task and sitting still in the empty space that follows. Resting between wakefulness and sleep. Closing your eyes and letting the mind go completely quiet. These are moments so subtle they often pass unnoticed, but they hold a power that most people never touch. In these moments, the mind has not yet filled the space with control, fear, or planning. They are pure and untouched, like fresh soil ready for planting. Creation does not respond to shouts of urgency. It responds to the soft echo that is born in silence. And silence here doesn't mean an absence of sound. It means an absence of control, an absence of resistance. It's when you are fully present, even for a few seconds, without trying to make the universe act. You are simply there, whole, empty, vibrant, open. If you begin to notice and hold these moments each day, even for 5 seconds, your energy field will start to remember them. Your body will learn the vibration. And over time, you won't have to consciously think about it. It will happen naturally. The invisible will begin responding to you without you needing to demand anything. Opportunities will come, not because you went out to get them, but because you created a clear, open space for them to arrive. This is why most people never experience the magic of the inverted law. They're always rushing from one thing to the next, afraid to stop. But the portal opens in the pause. You don't need hours of meditation or elaborate spiritual practices. You just need to enter that pause sincerely, without pretending, without trying to manipulate the outcome. This surrender is not weakness. It's wisdom. When you make this a natural part of your life, the inverted law stops being a technique you apply and becomes a way of existing. Desire no longer comes from a place of emptiness. Letting go no longer feels like loss. It feels like alignment. You walk with a quiet certainty that what is meant for you is already here. even if it hasn't yet appeared in physical form. This certainty is freedom. It doesn't depend on proof from the outside world. It dissolves urgency, silences the rush, and removes the fear of loss. You stop reacting to life and begin creating with it. In this state, what once seemed impossible begins to arrive naturally. There's no more drama, no more pushing. You no longer seek validation or cling to outcomes. You trust life, and the more you trust life, the more it trusts you back. Life responds to those who stop trying to control it. What comes to you in this state isn't a victory you fought for. It's a natural consequence of your alignment. And when something leaves, you don't see it as a loss. You see it as space being made for something better. You no longer need to protect what you have because you understand that nothing truly belongs to you as possession. Everything moves, flows, and transforms while you remain anchored within. True strength is born here, not from force, but from presence. Your calm becomes magnetic. People feel it without knowing why. And then, without chasing, the people, opportunities, healing, and experiences you once longed for begin to arrive in quiet, natural ways. They feel less like rewards and more like the natural unfolding of life. Scarcity, fear, doubt, and comparison lose their power over you. You have returned to your center, and from that center everything flows. You live as someone who already has what they once thought they needed to seek. At this point, there is no battle, only a path. And the path opens before you not because you force it, but because you have become the movement itself. If you feel this shift within you, affirm it with the words, I am vibrating in the field of it already is. Let it be more than words. Let it be the truth you carry in your energy, the silent frequency that shapes everything around you.